We are now joined by White Sox play-by-play announcer John Schriffen. John, it is a pleasure to have you down here, buddy.
Thank you guys for being here. I think this is a really cool event the White Sox are putting on. I think it's awesome that you guys have the passion to be able to bring this to the fan base. And especially with the second half that we've had, there's a lot more excitement. So I think the fans are even more dialed in than they've been recently. So I think that's why this event is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, and, you came in at a really interesting time with the team. Obviously feel like we were kind of at the lowest of the low when you came in, took the job, and you've kind of gotten to grow with the team and see, where it's going. And, I think it has everybody excited for next season.
Yeah, no, I mean, what better way to learn than have one of the worst seasons in Major League Baseball history? But here's the thing about it, right? I think, yes, it was a lot coming at me in terms of my first full Major League Baseball season, and I think having that under my belt, I think, was the biggest growth opportunity for me, even just learning the rhythm of the season, right? Because I compare to how I feel now versus how I felt this time last year. Last year, it was, wow, we were beat down, right? We were worn down, long season, going through a bunch of losing streaks. And now I compare to where we feel right now, we don't want the season to end, right? There's a fun, there's excitement, there's this young core where it's like, man, it feels like it flew by this year. And I think comparing just that brings me to, I think that's what everyone's excited about heading forward in 2026.
So you talk a lot about the growth, where we just talked a little bit about that growth piece too. And it's interesting you said, hey, I don't want this. I wanted, not wanted the season to end, but didn't care that it ended last year versus this year. It's hey, I really don't want this to end. For you personally too, is there anything that stands out to you as things you learned from year one to year two? You're hey, this was really important for me this year versus maybe last year. Is there anything that you've learned so far that's kind of surprised you in terms of, like you said, this is the first time we've been doing it for a full 162?
Yeah. I think the thing that maybe surprised me the most was even the most seasoned broadcasters who've been doing this for 20 plus years will tweak their process every single year. And I thought I had to have it down year one. I thought I had to be a finished product year one. And I held myself to this high standard. So when you make a mistake, you're beating yourself up. And then when you beat yourself up for making a mistake, that's when more mistakes happen. And then you can't get out of your own way, right? So I think giving yourself grace was the biggest thing that I learned. And I think you have to do that with anything you do in life and understand that you're always going to grow. You're always going to improve. And talking to other broadcasters around the league is what really helped me learn that. I mean, even guys like Jason Benetti. Jason Benetti has helped me a ton, where he overhauled his entire scorebook process, where it's digitized, and now he has a new process. And it's cool to see how guys are always trying to take their game to the next level. And for me, that's the biggest thing I learned was, okay, if I didn't have it year one, I can improve year two. And then there's things I'm not going to have year two, which I can improve now into year three. And you're always going to be building and growing as you evolve as a broadcaster. So that's the biggest thing I took away.
So just super quick, what do you think would be the biggest difference between covering one team for an entire season compared to, say, what you were previously doing, kind of covering, regional games kind of over the course of a season? What comes with that? Being able to adjust to a fan base, kind of understanding the vibe of a team. What's the difference between covering one team compared to covering a new team every week?
Sure. So previously, when I did Major League Baseball, it was for ESPN Radio, and it was the big game of the week on a Sunday night. So it was Dodgers-Padres or Yankees-Red Sox, whatever it may be. And when you're preparing for just one game, you can literally throw everything you've gotten and everything you've prepared at that one game. And you also don't get as much time with a team. So when you talk to the managers, you maybe get 5-10 minutes with each, and you're just trying to get the big picture stories, the big picture ideas to fill in the fans who are listening on a national basis. When you cover one team, you understand the arc of the season, right? So you're not just flying in for that weekend and just trying to get people caught up. It's, all right, here's where we were in spring training. Think about Colson Montgomery, right? You can understand the arc of his career better than if I just flew in and said, oh my God, Colson Montgomery's having the best month and he's got 18 home runs, right? It's a very different picture of saying, well, this is a young man who we weren't sure was going to be a successful big league player, right? He was still trying to make the routine ground ball play every day in spring training. We weren't sure that he could do it defensively. We weren't sure he could hit consistently. And now look at how far he's come, and here's how he got here. So I think it's telling a deeper story versus telling the big overall picture to get a national audience caught up, right? Because think about it, you guys are fans, right? You've been following this team. you want to know, how did Coughlin do it, right? Like, you want to know the next level, the in-depth stuff, and I think that's what you can provide when you cover a team every day.
Yeah, that's great perspective. And I think one thing we're also curious about, and we've been talking a little bit about it here today, is the vibe in the clubhouse, this year compared to last year. And obviously part of your job, of course, is to know, get to know the players, have good relationships with them. So I'm just curious, how would you describe the vibe this year? You kind of talked about how being closer to the team gives you that better perspective. So how would you say that it's translated to the whole clubhouse coming off a season like last year and now with the improvement today?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Last year was tough for everybody, right? Like, I mean, just the energy in the building as soon as we walk in was completely different. It was, when you go on a 21-game losing streak at one point last year, it is tough for everybody because you're still putting in the work, you're still doing what you're supposed to be doing, but you're not seeing the results, and that can wear on people. And I think you saw it in the clubhouse where there wasn't as much excitement. There wasn't the celebrations after games because you can't, right? Like, you have to put things in perspective. And I think the difference this year was when Will Venable came in, he made a choice of how he wanted to set the culture and what he wanted to see in the clubhouse. So when there would be a big milestone, so say Michael A. Taylor, when he received his 10 years of service, it was a big deal in the clubhouse. They got, I think it was like a poster for him and balloons, and they did something. It was a celebration. And Will Venable wanted to make sure that he celebrated milestones for the guys so that they learned that this is important. You got to celebrate each other. And then there was a cool transition in the season, probably about 2 months in, where Will and the staff didn't have to be involved in it. The guys were starting to celebrate on their own, and they were starting to have that care and love for each other. And I think that's what's fun, is that we've seen these guys really form that bond and really push and root for each other. And last year it was more guys were in survival mode, and now guys are in thrive mode, where they're excited, and it's like, okay, we can do this, and we can do it all together as a group.
Yeah, no, I really, and that was something that Connor kind of talked about when he came on, was just the veteran presence. These guys not necessarily taking the contract to be with the team, to stay in the Major League Baseball. These guys who have all bought in. And I feel like Will Venable is a big part of that, of being able to bring this culture together, have the right veterans in place, and make sure these veterans are staying on top of making sure that these younger players that are coming up are doing their job and acting like a professional every single day.
Yeah, because think about it. If you're a manager, you can't be everywhere at the same time, right? Like, you've got to have people who you trust, and you've got to have the Michael A. Taylors. You've got to have the Mike Talkmans. You've got to have the Martin Perez's, because they are with the individual groups, the starting pitching group, the hitters meeting, the this. And if something comes up, those guys will speak up, and they will hold the young guys accountable, not to punish them, but to say, hey, this is how we do things, not just in the big leagues, but here's how we're going to do it here with the White Sox. And you need to have that message, because not only when it comes from the manager, when it comes from your peer and guys who are having success, the message now carries a lot more weight. And I think that's what has the difference in this team, is that, and I think Chris Getz deserves a lot of credit. I mean, he vetted a lot of these veteran guys and said, it wasn't just so much we need your production on the field. Who are you as a person? Are you going to be able to, and are you willing to mentor these young guys? And I think the guys who are all bought into that, and they're basically an extension of the coaching staff.
Yeah, no, it's been really impressive, and it's obviously showing on the field. It's showing with these guys kind of learning from their mistakes. Mistakes that were happening early on in the year are starting to be kind of dwindled down, and it feels like as far as like just playing tight every single day has definitely changed in the last month.
Yeah, I mean, defensively it looks better. But there's mistakes are going to happen. I think it's the types of mistakes that we're seeing that are different, right? Like, we're not seeing the collision that we saw in Baltimore on a pop fly where guys aren't communicating, right? The mistakes we're seeing now, and they're not necessarily even mistakes, it's guys trying to take an extra base, maybe you get thrown out at third. That's the stuff you can live with, because now they're being aggressive and now they're putting pressure on the defense versus, being back on their heels. It's a totally different vibe when you're seeing that from the young guys.
Yeah, and especially like on defensive baseball, trusting your teammates is insanely important. Being a left fielder and the center fielder coming in and snagging a ball that you called, it's more or less, I don't take that personally. It's, I want to make sure I'm there where that doesn't need to be called the next time. Being able to play aggressive and understanding, like, not only can I trust my teammates, but I want to be a teammate that can be trusted in the defensive side of baseball.
What have you guys seen? I mean, you're fans, right? What have you seen?
Yeah, no, I think overall it was tough at the beginning. A lot of young guys starting off, A lot of guys that, kind of people had the inklings weren't going to be here through the full kind of process this season. But overall, it just seems like a team that is playing well together. The effort is there. And I feel like in a season like this where the record isn't great, but the potential is there, playing with effort and playing hard every single day is going to endear you to the fan base, and it's going to show, guys like Chris Getz that you belong here for the next season and possibly, in the long term moving forward. And I think a lot of it's been a huge positive. Colson Montgomery, being one of the top prospects in baseball, being able to not have an ego, and being able to basically have to suffer public humiliation by going to Arizona and having to adjust his hitting. That was a very public thing. It's something that people don't talk about now because you see the success of it, but he was willing to, not have an ego about it, not be, I'm one of the top prospects in baseball, I don't have to change a thing. He went there, he changed his game, and obviously the results speak for themselves. And if people can really take from what Colson Montgomery's done, if you're a prospect in the White Sox organization, that's a huge positive moving forward about what we can be.
No, it's awesome. And it's something I had to learn myself too, right? I think I learned last year, confidence doesn't necessarily come from your success. It comes from your failures. And I think when you look at your failures and understand that if you learn from them and make sure you don't do it again, it's a huge positive and it's a huge win. It's something me and Steve talk about on the air all the time. Having Colson Montgomery go through that publicly, very tough experience for him. People didn't know if he was going to pan out as a top prospect. To then going to Arizona, understanding what his process is now, so if he ever falters, or he can tap back into that, and it's something that he can quickly get himself out of. So I think failure is something that is necessary and people shouldn't shy away from in order to have real success in anything that you do.
So we only got a few minutes left, and what we want to do with everybody is kind of ask the same set of rapid-fire questions. First thing that comes to mind. Don't think too hard about it. We just want to know. You
Love
ready?
it. Yeah, let's go.
All right. Which actor would play you in a movie?
Denzel.
All right. Nice and quick. See? Perfect. Nice and quick. Easy.
And I watch every Denzel Washington movie. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm putting it on.
All right. Top thing on your bucket list?
Run a full triathlon.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. What temperature do you set your thermostat at before you go to bed?
68.
All right. Perfect.
That's the right number. That is the right number. That was the correct answer.
If you had a walk-up song, or maybe when you played your walk-up, walk-out song, what would it be, or has it changed since then?
Oh. I'm a fan of the bring 'em out, bring 'em out. I mean, I bring out the team onto the air, so that's kind of like my vibe of getting hype, bring 'em out. That's probably my walk-up.
Perfect. And then finally, what's it like to be a former NBA All-Star celebrity player?
Ooh.
We got this far, and we didn't even ask you about that.
It was one of the coolest experiences ever, right? Like, I was a fill-in for Robin Roberts, so I'm not the celebrity, but it was cool because everyone who I played with was so normal and chill and down to earth. And I think that's the biggest thing, where we put celebrities on this pedestal, but they're all real people, and they all feel things, they all go through things. And I think just seeing them as people and being on the court and just passing the ball or shooting the ball, whatever it is, something simple, that was the coolest thing for me. Like sitting down on the bench and hearing stories from Mutombo or other people and guarding Usain Bolt, right? Like, how many people can say they were trying to stay stride for stride with Usain Bolt? I didn't do it well, but I tried, Like, that's the fun part of being on a court with people at that elite level. So I think that was my takeaway.
I mean, no one needs to know you were the replacement, though. So
That's
you can
cool.
just say,
That's
hey,
cool.
I was the celebrity all-star.
There you go, I was.
Surely it was cool to kind of look through it and kind of, that's the White Sox broadcaster doing it.
So
Very cool
the
experience.
question that everybody's asking right now as they hear that story, do you and LeBron still have beef to this day?
Me and LeBron?
Yeah.
What did I have beef with him
No,
about?
he was the opposing coach.
No. I actually interviewed him at that All-Star weekend because he does a lot of philanthropic things, and he opened up, I think it was like a gym for the kids in Houston, and I talked to him about like his style, and he like complimented me on my style. So no, we were cool.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a good dude, real good dude.
It's good. Beef officially averted.
Yeah. No.
John, it's been a pleasure, buddy.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming down here, taking time out of your busy schedule. Obviously, you got to go call a baseball game here in a little bit. But appreciate the time, appreciate the interview.
Thank you for what you guys do. No, because I think the Sox fan base is special. It is not like any other fan base, not even just in baseball, but in sports, right? And I think getting to know the fans these last 2 years is really what brings me the most joy, and trying to broadcast and have them proud of the product and the broadcast that we provide. So I love the feedback, and I love being able to do things like this. So the work that you guys put in is essential and important. So thanks for having me here. It means a lot.
Absolutely. Anytime, buddy.
All right, cool.